Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. I hope you guys are doing well. I see we got Cheryl in the house, and we got Mark in the house, the sassy one as well. Happy Sunday, everybody, as we get underway here.
Oh, it is a happy Sunday. Awesome. It's good to see you guys here. This is great.
Yeah, we'll wait for a few more to join us, as I'm sure they will be. And let's see, it's 12:42 over here on the West Coast. So it's middle of the afternoon, but just felt like I wanted to go live and talk to you guys about this. There's Grizz.
Rawr!
Whoa.
Are you guys' ears okay?
I think they're okay. Let's hope so. And just want to make sure, too, anybody in the house there that can just let me know that we got sound.
Testing, testing, testing.
See, Grizz does a roar in caps, and Mark is doing it in lowercase.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah. Kimberly, there she is, spreading her love.
Miss Kimberly, it's always great to see you.
Heading outside. Greetings from New Hampshire. Beautiful New Hampshire. And beautiful sunny day in Pacific Northwest. It's going to get really warm in the west from what they are talking.
Oh, the sound must be okay because I hurt Zeke's ears.
Oh, okay. There we go. There's Zeke. Zeke's in the house.
Sorry.
Zeke, is it warm up there? Is it getting warm up there yet? And Kimberly, how's the temp in Mount Shasta? We'd love to get up that way again.
Yes, we will. And I have some ideas on how we're going to do that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's going to reveal itself. I'm not too worried, really.
Yeah, all in due time.
Yes.
And as soon as we get done with this, we're just going to be heading out. And I think I was getting in our meditation today. I've been on a roll working with wood, and I really do enjoy working with wood. But I think it's time for us to delve into the earth bags and to make we're gonna make something. We're gonna make something. We're not gonna start the main house yet because we're gonna have a week's worth of leveling the ground, and the heat's gonna be up to 110 this week. So it's gonna be between 102 and 110 for like 4 or 5 days. So that's gonna be kind of intense. So we're gonna just start with building a dome structure that we could use for either storage, or we could use it as a meditation area.
I think that's a brilliant idea. We could make it our little personal ashram thing.
Exactly. I'm thinking like a 10-foot interior space dome, which will end up being about 10 foot tall.
Yeah.
And, we could use it for meditating out of the sun,
Yeah, we could. I think it would be beautiful, and I think it'll be a little bit cool because we have all that sand kind of hopefully holding the heat down. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, most definitely. So we were doing our session, and Cindy was really, really deep. And when I asked her if we had contact, she jumped a mile. At first, she was so deep in meditation. I tried to do it really gently. And, she said that I do have a piece I could play for you, but then I stopped recording because she had said she has a partial connection, but then she went full connection because she didn't remember what she said afterward.
Sorry, guys.
Which, means that she was completely channeling. But it was good stuff, and really good stuff. And I wanted to get it across to you guys because I feel that it's exactly what we need in this time. All the stuff we see going on out there can be so disheartening. It's all about control. We understand what's going on in the world right now. the whole police state and all that. In reality, all that is just a distraction from the big thing that's going on, which the single biggest thing is Ascension. That's the biggest thing by a mile because it just trumps everything. He used to.
Isn't he cute? He's so darn cute.
Thank you. So yeah, it really does. It overrules everything. The changes that are happening to our DNA right now and our energy bodies is incredible. And it's so over the top important because we are all changing. This has been foreseen in cultures around the globe. As we talked about, we said the Australian Aboriginals say we're returning to dream time because we're going up. We are going up. And that's the bottom line. The planet's going up as well. So yeah, we can't give in to the fear. We can't lower our vibrations because in reality, we could, and it's not escapism. I don't think it's escapism. I've felt this in my soul, like going back to being a little kid. I do believe that we're going to see people just kind of like, disappearing, so to speak. And, it just hit me too when we were talking about those two projects out there, those, scary projects that we talked about. One begins with a Z and the other with a P, which was talking about a whole bunch of people going missing because of the deep state, the eliminating people, like purging, just like what we saw over in China, which, looked kind of obvious, but it hit me that could also be used as a cover of sorts for people that really are here today and 5D tomorrow, just ascending as well. And I think a lot of people have wondered about that. And we've talked about the Tibetan rainbow body as well. So, a lot of people are familiar with Ascension, and I'm not sure how much Cindy remembers now, because we were talking, semi-channeling Lakshmi, but also it felt like somebody else was there, and I'm not sure who it was, if it was, the Pleiadians or who else was coming through. But you did say that you talked to one of my guides. Yeah. You remember that clearly.
There was a lot there today. There was a lot. So I don't know whoever had the desire to pull me through. I guess that's where I went.
Well, it was very, very heartening. So let me play for you guys what we got that I recorded, and then I stopped because she wasn't feeling well. And but then she went into like full trance. She was kind of semi-trance, and then she went into full trance.
Do we have a connection?
We have a partial connection. It's not a direct trance channel, but it's channel.
And who is that connection with?
She's been communing with Lakshmi. And Lakshmi is showing her around her palace, talking to her about fractals and healing and coming back to oneself.
Well, that sounds beautiful. And what have you gotten from her? What have you learned?
Well, we're all broken in some way. Shattered, if you will. And there's different ways to come back to your higher self, and they are calling us, beckoning us to come back. Different ways of doing it, just communing with them, feeling their essence, getting that signature of your higher self, and then moving closer to that. Doing things like loving yourself and opening up and helping others, and I'm getting too close to her.
Is your heart starting to hurt?
It's starting to burn, yeah. It's
So we stopped at that point, but then she got a direct channel that I didn't even realize was a direct channel. So we didn't really record it. But what it was saying about the ascension process, that it is completely underway. As we know, the earth is ascending. Not everybody is going to ascend and go up into the higher densities. Our energy bodies are, getting thicker. They are getting way thicker. So we are becoming more and more energetic. The interaction with the cosmic energy that's coming in and being channeled to us through the sun is changing us in a very, very positive way. It's not something to be feared. This is what was planned. This is the natural process. Of course, the Draco and the control group here on the planet are doing whatever they can to stall this process. But the planet itself is ascending, and many of us are ascending. And some, do you remember, because she said that, there will be people that are no longer here. They're going to ascend in this lifetime up into the higher densities and will no longer be physically visible on this plane of existence.
Well, I can understand that. I can see that in my mind where, like, if our energy bodies are getting thicker, and they are, because that's what the studies are showing, that our pieces of our body are going out and just becoming energy, and that would make the traumas in our energy body more significant. But that's why they've updated a lot of the tuning forks, which is really interesting to detect and kind of wipe through those traumas.
Yeah, so it gets you thinking about so many different things now. Obviously we have stuff that's sprayed over our heads every day. We know there's all these different viruses and stuff out there. But there is real ascension symptoms as well. So it's hard to, decipher what is this and what is that. You just have to listen to the inner voice. One thing that came across clear was they told Cindy to fast, and I've been getting that message too. And, for whatever reason, I think we've been kind of lax and kind of weak compared to how we have been in the past. So good with fasting. I mean, we intermittent fast all the time. So it's no big deal for us to go 20 hours in between eating. That's kind of typical, really. I would say 20 hours is our typical window of 20-hour fast, and then we'll eat and typically have one meal and then maybe some sort of little snack. Last night I made some organic popcorn with butter. It was good. After having a regular meal. And that's our typical pattern. But what we need to do, and I'm going to do another video for the main channel, Evolutionary, and I think it's the most important thing for us to do right now is to do a 96-hour water fast, and there you could have coffee and you could have herbal teas, and that's really it. Water, coffee, herbal teas, no juice, nothing that brings calories in, no calories, because we need to reset our body. We need to reset our immune system, and it does that when you do that. That's critical right now. A lot of people have Morgellons, and we've talked about that before. And so we always need to be purging. Borax is great in the bath. And then diatomaceous earth and bentonite clay ingested to help, purge and detox, clean the liver. This is key right now because we have the chance to achieve something en masse that typically just only happens at maybe it's 12,000 year intervals that we get a chance at something like this. Maybe it's even more than 12,000 years. Maybe it's more like 25 or 75,000 if we're looking at what the law of one talks about. So, a lot of us are going through these things. You could get extreme fatigue, diarrhea, aches and pains, changes in sleep patterns. Oh boy, yeah. I got some sleep last night. It was a little bit better. It's just been one thing or another, and it was like 5 out of 6 nights with maybe 3-4 hours of sleep, and that kind of catches up to you. You could have blurred vision. I get a ton of that as your pineal gland expands. But we were doing our standing, and I'm watching these wisps of energy just going all around Cindy's energy body, and then they're going around mine, and she could see my energy today as I'm getting worked on, and by the elementals, because the elementals do work on us. There are elemental beings that work on maintaining your physical body, and they are helping us with the ascension process.
Mm-hmm. They do, but we need to give them a chance to help us, and that means that we take the time for ourselves to get better.
Yeah, see, everybody's going through this stuff. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going through this stuff. Sol Una says, I've been sleeping 4 hours of sleep. Mark Jones, I couldn't get to sleep last night. Valerie's in the house. Hello, Valerie. Ricky, coffee is my friend. It's mine too. It's like I enjoy it. RN says group fast 3 days. Well, we're starting today. So I made spaghetti sauce and fresh bread last night, and it was yummy, guys. Oh man, so good. And we had that at about 4, I think. So I think 3 or 4. Was it 4? 4. Okay, say 4 p.m. So that was our meal yesterday, and so. It's been like 21 hours now, which is no big deal for a day to go by so quick. See, Crystal Core Art is in the house. Much love there as well.
Here, I need to calm Grizz. So I need to calm Grizz down. He's afraid he's going to ascend before it's time. And I can promise you, Grizz, there's a really good plan out there. And I have a feeling that we're going to be stuck down here. Well, not necessarily stuck, depending on your perception. We're going to be able to stay and help a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that it's like I think in so many ways my subconscious has been purposefully keeping me from, fasting as much to slow down the process, because the energy that I feel like coursing through is just insane. It's so powerful now. I could so easily see changing in some way, shape, or form as this keeps increasing. And like when we do our practices, it's so intoxicating feeling the energy. It's just beautiful. Wolf's Eyes does intermittent fasting all the time. Yeah, we love it. I really do. Matcha tea. Yes, that's good stuff too. Lupa Kalula. Hey, good to see you as well. And Watchman, we love you too. And when we have a lot of us gone through all these sorts of symptoms, and it's a part of this process. This is one of my favorite parts of the Bible here. It's always clicked for me and made me feel it's part of Ascension. And it also is something that I've always kind of felt that it will happen in my lifetime, in this lifetime. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. So, it's very interesting, that quote. And this is very true, and we could look at it in different lights, especially when we start looking at this, and including, say, a Hindu or a Buddhist perspective, so it talks about celestial bodies and terrestrial bodies. Well, yeah, I mean, we different densities, right? So now, again, the words were more limited in those days. People were, well, for one, hardly anybody was literate. Hardly anybody was, able to read and write. The percentage of people back in those days that could read and write was so small. And many people don't even recognize, that, for instance, with the Bible, that it wasn't mass produced, until the time of the printing press and all. So we're talking, the Catholic Church having existed 1,300 years or so, and the masses didn't have a Bible. Only the priests did, so, and then it was all said in Latin, and only until recent days when they started to say it in the language of the people in whatever particular nation it was. So this is fascinating stuff, and it gets into what we could view as energy bodies. And when we look over into Tibet, and we were talking about the rainbow body, and hundreds of thousands of people, of monks, have achieved the rainbow body, not just like one or two. They've achieved this through meditation, and we are becoming more and more light beings. We are ascending. This is part of what's supposed to happen in this reality. And I think we've been there before. As I've shared, I get the feeling from everything I've learned and gotten downloads on. When Lemuria was here, I believe it was more of a fifth density. And we could view it, and many have caught on and said, in a sense, we are, quote unquote, fallen angels, and that we are very powerful beings that are that have amnesia and have been experiencing a 3D, 4D reality loop, going back and forth between this physical plane of existence here and up into the astral, and then back into the physical, up into the astral, back in the physical. And, that is what Buddha saw as well, but he also realized the oneness beyond everything, and, had his great illumination in the Bodhi tree from doing his meditation, and, he achieved enlightenment, understanding self-realization, who we really are.
Oh, that's a difficult one. There's self-realization, I think, is the most important thing that you could do for your everybody around you, for yourself and everybody around you. The more you understand yourself, the better off you and everybody else is, to me.
Well, I agree. And that's going within and understanding who we really are, and I haven't read his book. Robert Seffer wrote a book, Gods with Amnesia, and I think he's alluding to us. He's done such great work on uncovering so much hidden history, and he has a channel called Atlantean Gardens, and another one just of his name, Robert Seffer. Good stuff. Really, really, really good stuff. And Pew says, I wonder if the 3.5 days of darkness has anything to do with Ascension. I think there's so many different things on different levels. So, you could view that, right? Christ was in the grave for 3 days, right? And, we've talked about the dying and resurrection gods and the symbology there. Also with that reflecting December, around the equinox there. It's all so symbolic. Same thing with Osiris as well. So there could be some of that, and then there very well could be a grid out occurrence as well. Could be manufactured, could be an EMP, could be a CME from the sun. It could be that the sun will be the great equalizer and be the thing that wipes out the control grid that has been constructed all around us. So we have a lot of things, going on.
We do have a lot going on. And I think a lot of the political stuff is to keep us kind of in a state of fear, because as long as we have that fear going on, it's going to be difficult for our bodies to ascend and do what they naturally do, if we're not always in a state of like complete happiness. And I know in this day and age, it's nearly impossible because of how they have the system set up. It's just really not nice how they've done this to us. But wherever we can find a little sense of peace, wherever that little corner of joy in our life, we need to spend time there. Make friends with yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm constantly having trouble making friends with myself because there's so many parts of me that I don't like. But I think that's part of the realization is understanding and coming to acceptance, and whatever you don't accept, it's probably a good idea to learn to understand why you don't accept it and just accept it as it is and love yourself anyway.
And so here you see, this is a Lama, a Buddhist monk, and you see him in the dense physical body on the left, and you see him in a light body on the right. And isn't that cool? And this has happened so many times. And it's been documented, like I said, there's tens of thousands of cases. I saw one source saying 160,000 documented cases of these monks through their use of mantras and meditation have been able to increase their vibratory frequency to the point where now you see them, now you don't.
Mm-hmm. And I don't live a monk's life, but I could imagine if you were living a monk's life and you did have the time to just simply sit and meditate, do Om and mantras and all of these things, I can absolutely see how they could do that. But they've set our society up to where we're under so much stress. It's really hard for most of us to find that place of quietness because we have so much information and data coming at us constantly. But I think that's part of leveling up is you find a way to dodge all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And through our practice that we've been doing, I totally agree with Cindy. I mean, I could feel where we really can change to that point and shift our consciousness into this next density going up. And, that's what we got today when I was asking her, and I'm sorry I didn't record it for you guys to hear it. But that's the message that we got when I was asking directly. I said, so, when are people ascending? And, the answer was, well, Ascension is underway. It's happening right now. And there may be people that right now literally are ascending. And perhaps there are some people that are missing, and this is what has happened to them. They have ascended. They've achieved this rainbow body of light and become a light being. And that's the next step up. So, behold, it's it exactly. I will tell you a mystery. We shall not all die, but we will be changed. And then later on it talks about death. Where is your sting? Because you've transcended death then. And this gets me thinking about the ascended masters who knowingly come back down and take a heavier dent, a more physical body in order to manifest on this plane to try to lead us back up and out. So really there's absolutely nothing to fear. For one, we're consciousness, and consciousness can't be created or destroyed. This whole experience we're having is created by consciousness for consciousness. So, that in and of itself is a very, very freeing thought. And then when we see things like this, like what do you guys make of that photo? And you were hit by the colors because you said that they remind you of what you see a lot with the deities.
Yeah, the deities. I mean, it's just really interesting stuff. I mean, to me, that's extremely clear. He's ascending. That's what it's going to look like for a lot of us. I think that again, they make it very difficult for us to get in a place where we can do that. So, what does a person do? How do you find that quietness? That's what I've been asking myself a lot. Like, because we all have responsibilities. All of us, we have things that we have to do. I think it's just finding a place of indifference, like, okay, yeah, that's going on and this is going on and that drama over there is going on. But you have to just let it go and let it happen, because it's supposed to happen anyhow for somebody.
It is. So, how do we accelerate the process? Obviously it would be eliminating negativity, eliminate fear. That's the number one thing is negativity and fear. We don't want to be judgmental. Right. That's, again, something that's negative. And if you are able to, spend as much time as you can in meditation, QiGong, doing mantras. The mantras, I can't say how powerful they are to you. And it could be any of them. So these are Buddhist monks. Om Mani Padme Om is probably one that they're using as much as anything. Or just simply Om, that is beautiful too. I did one on this channel right before we decided to do a live. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, and that's blissful. And I was blissing out doing that at the end of my session, and it just sends a signal to every cell in your body of peace. Peace, cosmic, divine, universal peace. And it's so beautiful. And so again, our daily practice is tremendously important. What's more important than your consciousness?
Right.
There's nothing, so you could view it as what's more important than your soul, your essence. There is nothing more important. So we have to make the time for this. And Cindy's so right in that, this whole world, this whole society is set up to keep our heads spinning and just so busy with so many things that we don't take the time for the spiritual pursuits. In many cases, you just go to church on the holidays and that's it, Did I do enough to get into heaven? It's yeah, it's so not like really about that. I think that's part of the whole facade that's been put over us. It takes practice, it takes work, it takes dedication. It has to be the center point of our lives. It can't be on the periphery.
And that, that's where somebody might say, well, you're being selfish. It's supposed to be service to self, not others. But at the same time, I'm thinking, if we are all trying to become one, what better thing can you do than spend time meditating and doing mantras so you can reach that higher place? And then we're all kind of headed to the same place anyway. And then maybe also, if you're doing that, you'll have the wherewithal enough to help someone else that's close to you find some inner peace, because it's about finding the inner peace no matter what's going on around you, no matter how chaotic it is, no matter how much drama, no matter how many things are going on around you. It's about finding that signature of inner peace inside of you and training your brain to go there whenever you need it. Because our society is set up for just the opposite of ascension, completely opposite of ascension.
Yeah, and that's part of the whole purpose, again. And, like there was a question there about earth and heaven. Christ said the kingdom of heaven's within you. Boom. It's already there. Don't look here, don't look there. It's inside. It's to be cultivated. And here we see, the ascension process, the rainbow body process underway. And it's an awesome picture. Some interesting, there's different things we've seen throughout time with these rainbow body situations. Sometimes the person will be alive and they're shrinking. It's kind of crazy. But they're alive still, and they're in a meditative state, and they start to shrink. And they could shrink all the way down to being like 20 centimeters. And when you think about it, space is mostly a vacuum. We are mostly a vacuum in and of itself. So it's just matter kind of condensing down in one sense as the energy vibrates higher. And here you see, after he left his body is so small it could be put in a little cooler. That's crazy. But then you also have these type of occurrences, which I think is more of what we are going to see. And this wispiness, this is exactly what I was seeing, wisping around Cindy and me when we were doing our standing meditation today. And here you might notice, there is a monk in the back here that is in the process of ascension. And you see the energy all around him. And, this is just what I was seeing, flowing in wispy energy. Very curious.
Yeah, I mean, everything is different once you start to awaken certain things in your mind, but for me, I kind of don't, I feel like there really is no veil, but once things are pointed out to you or once they are shown to you, you cannot unsee them. It's like energy is once you see it a certain way, you can't unsee it. So that's, to me, that's what it's like, waking up to all of these new things. And, the longer I go with eating right, doing the fasting, the clearer my second sight becomes, and the more internal information I can bring in, or at least get out to you guys. And finding your path is another form of pineal gland awakening, when you start to see your bigger path. So it's all different for everybody. Awakening is different for everybody, but it's an individual, very personal journey.
And so, the main thing I want to impart is that, there's going to be people that do this, that achieve this type of state in this lifetime. There's going to be a lot of people. And what Cindy was getting when she was channeling, and I don't know if she remembers this, the people that, the memory of the people that ascend will be there. People will remember them. It won't be like, oh, I don't know where Nuke went. Where did Nuke go? It won't be that you don't know Nuke. Nuke never existed. People will remember the people that do ascend. I almost felt like that was a quake.
I heard something over there.
I wonder if that was a quake. I have to check the map. But you'll remember the people that used to be there, but they won't be there anymore because people will be ascending. And I don't think it is going to be, it might be that it clusters. It could be that it clusters, but I think everybody is going along at their own pace.
Oh, yeah. Everybody is going along at their own pace, but ultimately it is a collective thing. But right now, it's very much a sense of, and I don't want to say every man for himself. That's not it at all. But every person can maybe assist their neighbor in what they're going through. If you've already gone down a certain path and you've dealt with a certain thing a certain way, you can share that information, and hopefully that person will glean the right information to help them on their path.
Exactly. And thank you, Michelle, for that comment there. We all have to walk our own path, and so one of the things that I don't fear at all, it's been such an unfolding process for me. So I've shared with you guys some of my personal situation, like my parents. We always lived paycheck to paycheck. My parents never owned a house in their entire life. My dad worked his entire life up to 75 years old, up until he died. He was still working because, they needed the money, and they never took any chances. They were really good, simple-minded, honest people, that were just really good people. Very, very, they were just wonderful people, nice people, but in some ways very, very innocent, in that, they didn't see the bigger picture in the world and everything. And obviously they thought I was pretty crazy and out there for the most part, although my dad did have UFO experiences, which he really didn't want to share. But anyway, the thing is, I grew up basically, sometimes we had to move just because of, any situation. We've had we had a couple landlords that didn't pay their mortgage, and then we ended up having to move because of the house getting foreclosed and that type of thing. So we moved, and you had no security. So the only thing I wanted growing up was my own house, so I just worked my butt off and, I bought my own house when I was like 21 or 22, and then immediately started to feel extremely disillusioned with everything. And, I climbed up a corporate ladder, and until I got to the point where I just couldn't stomach corporations anymore. And, I was working for a pharmaceutical company at one point, and, doing very well, because they, had great benefits, the whole 9 yards, great pay. But that was when I got Lyme's, and then, that was a wake-up call, because we had a ton of Lyme's patients, and they weren't getting better. They were getting worse. They were getting co-infections and all sorts of stuff, being treated with vancomycin, Rocephin, all these different heavy-duty antibiotics. And so, one thing after another kept nudging me onto my path. It took me a long time to get to my path, and I didn't even know what I wanted to do with my life until I was, close to 50, which sounds kind of crazy. I mean, I was always doing jobs I didn't really want to do, even some of them that were pretty good. Like I ran retirement communities, and I love to help the elderly and bring a little life into their lives, because so many of them were just, cast off by family members and just stuck there because they didn't want to bother with them anymore. So I used to love to, do fun things with them, bring in good entertainment, have all sorts of carnivals and, karaoke nights, and, get them having fun dances, things like that. And I used to really enjoy that, but then I hated the whole corporate mindset, and, how it's all money, money, money. They don't care when people die. They don't care when people are suffering. And, I just couldn't tolerate it anymore, had to get out of it. And getting out of it, there's no way I could possibly ascend if I didn't get out of it. There's no way. I mean, because I was encircled and trapped by all this negative energy. It wasn't till I got out of it that I rapidly started to change. And, working for yourself, which was a huge, scary step, because I was always used to knowing I was going to have a paycheck coming. I couldn't not have a paycheck coming. But then, it's just one of those things where you grow and, stepping. I'm so glad I did. Because we don't really own hardly anything, but that's fine, because that gives us a lot of freedom. And I wouldn't trade freedom, especially freedom to pursue, the spiritual side of things and, helping others. I wouldn't trade that for a fancy house or cars or any of that, because those are all just things that are meaningless and worthless. And I don't want to waste my life pursuing things like that, things. I would welcome and love, if we do lose the grid and everything goes down, then, simply I will go back to what I think I've done before in my visions of my past lives, and simply I will do mantras and meditation and QiGong for probably 6 to 8 hours a day, and the rest will be doing growing things and cultivating things, and just enjoying being with Cindy.
That sounds beautiful. It's sweet. I think we will have a lot of fun. But, if the grid does go down, honestly, we are going to be a little bit busy helping to take care of other people and get other people situated so that they can grow things, because I know a lot of us have family close to where we're at, and we're all going to be scrambling. So for a short time, things are going to be a little bit messy and busy. But then, you know what? After that, you guys, we will have time to just go within, just like right now, everything is kind of shut down and stuff. This is a really good time for people to go within and binge watch. And even I'm I have you guys as my family, but then I have my other family who found the show, and they were listening to it and binge watching. And that just made me happy, because I didn't really think that they were all that interested in the things that I was interested in. And, you want to save everybody. You really do. You want to do your best without pulling yourself down. And to hear that they're interested in and stuff really warmed my heart. I just feel like I have a little bit wider, or a little bit longer reach now.
Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, we definitely know about targeted individuals because, that's one of the things that I realized is that the powers that be, the dark side, they see clearly between here and 40. They see clearly between when we're incarnating and when we're not. So they know who is who. So they know, they know who we were in our last lives. So they know when certain people that come into the body that can impact the world in a positive way and help to wake people up out of their slumber. And they'll do whatever they can to stop their process, stop their progress, and slow them down in any way possible. So that's part of what we are going through. And like Nicole, she does an awful lot of growing, and she's got her own thing going, and she's an inspiration.
Huge inspiration, and she's always warm, and she's always pulling the energy up in chat, and it just makes me feel good to see you guys out there, lifting each other up in these chats. These little sessions I feel are very important for the overall ascension.
Yeah, and I've shared with you guys too, the other thing I love doing is just watching people live a simple life together, with their family, and there's so many good channels that are doing that. Back in the Asheville, North Carolina area, there's the Holler Homestead. If you guys check that out, HOLLAR. They're a young couple from California that took a year to go through, 47 states, I think, or 48 states. They wanted to see every state before they decided where they were going to live, and they picked the Asheville area. And they set up a homestead, and they're doing it with their kids. They have a bunch of boys, and she's pregnant again. And, they get to spend all day together, homesteading, homeschooling, keeping people out of the system. That empowers and frees souls. It frees souls. The system enslaves souls. And it makes it so that all we are doing is just running on a treadmill, and then we pass on, and then we come right back again and do it all over again. So, this is starting to liberate souls on a big level. And Sow the Land, Jason, and I forget his wife's name, I think Angie, another nice couple, another one from California that ended up in the Asheville area. And he's a cancer survivor, and they have just a small, 1.5 acre farm going over their homestead, but it's producing a ton, and really good to watch them as well. There's a lot of other ones out there as well. Those guys I just know because they were in the area and just started to follow them. So yeah, beautiful. We can't escape the system, and you know what? They're not gonna take us all out, because a lot of us are going to ascend and escape to a place of bliss and unity, and just a complete heaven on earth situation. So we have to help as many as we can, to wake up and to ascend out of this fear-based control grid that we are born into.
Yeah, Nicole wants to know, can we coordinate a mass meditation? Let's do it for the next 5 minutes after we sign off. I think our collective energy can go toward helping other people ascend, and even yourself, helping yourself get past certain blocks, certain roadblocks, certain issues, because by golly, we all have them. And, I think it's about helping each other up and out, figuring out, well, how did I do it? I did it like this, and then maybe that'll work for you. And not everything is going to work for everybody, but, we're getting the information out there.
Yeah, and so Watchman says they have some vertical watermelons. I'd like to see that. I'd love to, if you get a chance to shoot a photo over, I'd love to see what that looks like. And RN says, when we ascend, I hope we can better help others. I know there are those helping on the other side. We come in contact with them every day. We're always in contact with them pretty much around the clock. So we can help from the other side, and we often do. And then sometimes we come in here and we help from the inside, as well. Sometimes you have to, I guess, in one sense, like enter the prison planet in order to try to make a big breakout for everybody.
Yeah, it's about the bigger breakout, but ultimately you got to kind of do it for yourself first before you can really help other people. But I guess while you're on that path, you can help other people. It's always, to me, I find it's best to teach what you're currently learning about.
Yeah, Michelle's talking about Jeff Lawton. I think I have. I'll check again. Greening the Desert Project. Yeah, it can happen, and it just it takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and it's going to take a lot of sweat this week.
Yeah, a lot.
So, guys, I want to thank you so much for your support here, also on Ko-Fi and Patreon, because you do help us to keep going with this. We love you guys so much. It was a good live, as always. God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.
And stay positive, guys. Stay positive.
Stay positive. Ignore the poo-poo.
Yes.